All right, welcome everybody to Chasing Poker, and on this vlog, we're going to talk about what happens when there's a couple playing and one of them's knocked out, and then what happened, K-Pro.
Well, okay, so we'll tee it up because I do think it depends on whether it's the male or the female. Not that that's always the couple that we talk about, but in our scenario, there's a male and female. So we had, I think, 2 or 3 tables. Mike was knocked out. We are now at a final table situation. There are 4 of us left. As I recall, there was 3 pretty even stacks and 1 short stack, and I'm an even stack with another gentleman. I would say he's late 40s, early 50s, male. He's an extrovert because we had played with him for a couple different days. We were at actually Bally's. We were at
Yeah, I
Bally's.
guess we had played with him a couple days, huh? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So he was real nice to me. He was real nice to everybody. But so we're playing. We're Final Four. These are small buy-ins, maybe $100 buy-in. I think it was the 8 o'clock tournament, so it was maybe a 15,000 or 20,000. But at this time, the blinds are getting up there. There's no big blind ante, but the blinds are getting up there. So we're Final Four. Break has already gone, so we're going to play for another at least 90 minutes. And I see the guy get up and go and talk to my guy.
So he comes up to me, and he says,
I don't know this.
Right. He just comes up to me. There's 4 people left, right? Was it the bubble? Or were you guys on the bubble? Yeah.
Yes, it was bubble. It was bubble.
So he comes up to me.
So they're paying top 3.
Yeah, he comes up and he says, tell your girlfriend that I'll slow play against her. Tell her to slow play against me. So, and if I remember right, I think I texted that to you. I think I said, hey, this guy just came up. No, I didn't tell you? Well, because, and that's, yeah.
Well, because it was the next hand that he sat down, and you told me at the time I didn't have a chance to even text you or tell you anything because it was literally the next hand. Now, here's all I did is I'm sitting there playing, and I look over, I'm like, I mean, because blinds are there's 2 small blind, big blind, and there's 4 people. And I'm looking, going, what is he talking? And I see him over there, and he's like, and he's kind of hand back to me, and he's all animated. And I just look over, and you're like, okay, look at your text in a second.
Oh, I
didn't have a chance to get to my text, so I didn't know that this was happening.
It just, the question I guess I have is, did he say that because you're a woman? That's what I wondered. If you would have been a guy playing, which was a friend of mine, would he have said the same thing? Or did he only do it? Or did he say it to every single person at the table, trying to be like, hey, you know what I mean?
He seemed like one of those types. Yeah. But the big thing for me is I didn't know it. Next hand, I pushed all in.
Right.
And I pushed all in against him. And he called me. And bye-bye sugar pie. I mean, he went on his way. And he was angry when he left. And I thought, gosh, he was so nice, but people get angry, even if it's a $100 tournament.
If you tell somebody slow play against each other, I mean, that's collusion. You're not supposed to do that in a tournament. I mean, what am I supposed to do? If I have aces, I'm going to check because you said slow play each other.
What? That is not the issue here. The issue is not that he came to me and said, hey, slow play. He went to my boyfriend and he didn't even tell me.
Oh, I see. Oh, is that the issue you have with it? Oh, I see.
That's the issue I have.
And that's why
I didn't even know.
That's why I say I wonder if he still would have done that if you were a guy. If he was still would have brought it up.
So the funny part to it was we played the next day. I think it was the noon tournament. We played the next day.
Yeah, he didn't let it go.
And we're playing. And he was just being a jerk. He's like, oh, you saw this or you did that. He was calling everything. And I looked at him. I said, are you okay? He goes, you don't even know why I'm angry.
Yeah,
and I said, no, you hadn't mentioned it because we were right in the middle of the final 3. We were negotiating chops. It kind of became, it wasn't a big issue. You didn't even mention it to me. So he said, I told Mike that we were going to slow play and we were going to be in the final 2 and we were going to chop this. And I said, hold on a second.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you could say that all day long. Doesn't mean we're going to do it.
Well, first of all, I thought he was lying. So I went over to you and I said, did he say that? And he goes, yeah, but literally within a hand, it was gone. It was done.
Right.
So I didn't even have a chance to even text you or tell you. I said, oh, I do remember last night something going on and he was mad and left. So I came back and I said, okay, Mike didn't have a chance to tell me because you'd negotiated with him. I said, but hold on for a second. You negotiated with someone else. I don't care if it's my dad, my sister, my brother, my boyfriend. You negotiated with someone else my final table play. And he's like, yeah. He goes, I told your boyfriend, aren't you close with your boyfriend? Okay, there's where my issue is. My issue is not people collude at the table, people get silly, people do whatever. I would have said no if he would have asked me. But my issue was he went and told someone else how I was going to play at the final table.
Right.
And then was angry at me that I knocked him out because I didn't even get the word. And he's like, "You are now my nemesis." Like,
yeah,
okay.
right. Now he's trying to knock you out over all the tournaments. When K-Pro comes into town, we play like 3 full days worth of tournaments all day, it seems like. So, yeah, we played with this guy a lot because he was playing a lot of the same tournaments. So.
Yeah, and he was angry. And I said, well, I hope you're not angry. And actually, I think it was that tournament or the next one. He knocked me out of one, I knocked him out of another, but he kept saying to me, "We're enemies." And I was like, I don't even know you. Like, I don't think you realize you're not anybody to me. So I can't be a nemesis when usually a nemesis means there's 2 that are actually fighting. I'm actually not fighting. I just thought it was so interesting that 1, he negotiated with you. 2, he was so angry. And 3, I didn't even know it happened. So, okay, so this is what we want to ask the people watching this.
Right.
Has this ever happened? Especially couples.
Well, I'm sure when you get down to the bubble or the final table bubble, I'm sure there's people that are like, hey, they try and work out a deal. Now, I don't know if they specifically go up to somebody and say, hey, slow play against me, I'll slow play against you. But you're saying, I really don't think he would have done it if you were a guy. I think he did it because you were female. And maybe he thought, oh, yeah, I'll let you, get in the money type thing.
Yeah, that could be. That could be. And again, I actually could see that. I've never had it happen other than, I've played maybe 200, 300 tournaments now. But I have never had it negotiated through a third party.
Right.
That's the big thing that I'm like,
well, that's
wait a
because
minute.
I make the decision. I'll tell you if you have to do that or not. That's the real issue that you're having. And I get it. I mean, yeah, I get it. But I think that's what he thought. If you tell her to do
Shame
this,
on you.
If you tell her
Shame
to do
on
this, she'll do it. So little does he know that
let's think
you're
about that
person.
for a second.
Yeah.
You're sitting on the sidelines, so we've already identified who the better poker player is.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, we're definitely keeping track from now on who places and who doesn't. For this poker vlog, from this day going forward, every time we play,
boy.
There'll be a running total. We'll let you guys know.
You don't.
It's not a competition, but we do need to keep track. Yes, we do.
I will say, I'm not going to put out there, Mike is the better poker player by far. He's been playing for years. I've played for less than a year now, so I am not as good of a player. But in tournament, now I will say, I do think I'm a better tournament player than you. I think you are a better cash player.
I don't have the patience sometimes. I try and force things for a tournament.
Yes, and you're like kind of near a somewhat draw kind of situation. And you're pushing,
I'll go in
and
on
it
a
helps
draw.
you.
Yeah.
Yes. No, you'll go in on a draw 4 times.
Right. Right. Well, if I think the players are going to fold, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you have the patience. You can sit there for 5 hours and just not play a hand. But that's because you talk to all the players. I can be at a table of all guys, all iPads, all ball caps. Everybody's serious, and you've got 4 of them telling them all about the Forrest event treasure hunt.
Well, I have a funny story to that. I won't go on for too long because we'll wrap this up. But I happened to be sitting next to a guy, and I'm like, hey, where are you from? Because that's how I always started. Mm-hmm. He actually lived in the same city. He actually had a close mutual friend that was a close mutual friend of mine. And we figured out that we lived in 2 different cities together. He texted the person, and I hadn't made it to our wedding, and he had. And he was like, oh my gosh, look. And like we reconnected based on how many times do you think you're sitting next to somebody that you have a mutual friend or you have lived in the same city and you'd never know it because you have your little buds in. You're not talking to people.
That's true. I mean, most people from Michigan will say something because I usually wear my Detroit hat.
Yeah.
If you guys see me in the poker room, you'll know it's me because my Detroit hat's about 30 years old from the original Tigers Stadium. But you're right, though. And it's Vegas. Everybody wants to come to Vegas. And you see a lot of people from not even all over the U.S., all over the world. So.
Yeah. Well, one of the dealers told me that the guy was mad because he was the one the night before who had invited us out to going and doing drinks and dancing, and we didn't go. Right. So I thought, I didn't think that's why he was mad, and it ended up he was mad because I knocked him out because he negotiated with you and forgot to tell me. Well, I think this is a good lesson. Hey, everybody, the women actually negotiate for themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
But what do you say? What do you say? And here's the thing. Some people, I put this up on one of the forums, they're like, why didn't your boyfriend say something to you? And
well, I did. You. It was just later. It's not my fault. Well, here's my question to you. What? What?
You didn't even bring it up because we were already negotiating a chop by that time. It just happened that you didn't bring it up.
Well, let me ask you this. If he would have asked you in some quiet way where the other two people on break or whatever, would you have done it? If somebody says, slow play against me, I'll slow play against you, and let's knock these two guys out, would you have done it? Or would you consider it?
I would have, of course, said no because that's against the rules and I would never break the rules.
Mm-hmm.
But would I have, if he says, hey, slow play a little bit, if you see, I will just say, I say that to my boyfriend and he seems to have an issue with it and knocks me out of tournaments.
Yeah, the next vlog we'll talk about that situation. Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know. I've never had anybody do it. That's a good question. I've never had anybody say.
I've never had anybody tell me that. And that's why I think he told you, because you're a woman. And that goes back to women in poker. Men look at them differently, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And he was definitely playing the, I don't know, like the guy card, like flirty card. The flirty card's played often, even if my boyfriend's sitting right next to me.
Right, these guys, they don't care, yeah. That's definitely, I've noticed that. They don't. Right, because you tell me after the fact, you should have heard what that guy said, and I'm like, what? I didn't even know, so.
Yeah, right. You're oblivious to it, because you still will have your buds in sometimes. Sometimes you'll even hear it, and it won't be a big thing, so.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we want to hear from you. What have you had this situation happen? Let's say you're a guy at a poker table and you happen to have your girlfriend there. If this happened to you, what would your response have been? Because I think, as I recall, Mike, you said, and it was more like not an agreement. It was more of a, what are you talking about, dude?
Okay. Like, I mean, I'm not going to get mad at the guy. Like, yeah, okay, whatever, Yeah.
Yeah. So it was kind of like you kind of placated him more than anything. But
yeah,
what
but I didn't tell him yes. Of course you will, because I let you make your own decision. I mean, you're a poker player. You make your own decision. You're the one on the table in the money trying to get to the money. Why didn't you say
something? And you said you were playing poker. I wasn't gonna I wasn't gonna break in.
Right.
And it all happened within literally a hand of the guy coming over, and he was out, and he was mad, and all of that. You didn't have time to get to me. It wasn't like we were on break.
Right.
It was just a weird. I don't know. I think it was a weird situation. I haven't had something like that happen before. So.
And I'd be interested, how many couples are out there in Las Vegas that play poker? How many couples are in the same tournament? I mean, I don't see too many on YouTube, but yeah, if you guys are out there, comment down below and just let us know how it goes when you guys play poker together.
Yeah, well, in the World Series of Poker this last year, so that would have been 2019, it was two, I guess, pretty famous players or well-known players, and they got sat at the same table at the World Series of Poker, and he knocked her out pretty quick.
Oh, the couple, yes. And I think, I don't know if his boyfriend or girlfriend are married, but that's right. And he ended up knocking her out. That's right. I did read that article. That's true. So it does happen.
But it did start a lot of discussion about, okay, so is it okay to knock out or not? We're going to talk about that because I will say, Mike and I don't argue about many things. A couple of bad moments I have had is in relation to this exact issue of knocking your significant other out at the bubble.
Here's the real question, and you guys put it down below, and we'll talk about this in a future vlog. Do you play differently when your significant other is in the hand in a poker tournament? Do you slow play?
And we will and we're going to preface it with, we're going to be open about, we share our buy-ins and then we share our winnings.
The winnings, right. It goes into a pool. So
yeah. So that changes things because people were asking, do you guys play separate? We're going to go into that later, but that I think is a really interesting one. And it doesn't even have to be boyfriend, girlfriend. What if you have bought in with a brother, or like you have a poker friend that you buy in with him? Does that change things? But I think especially because I do have to say, I asked for the room key and I was
she was pissed. But we'll go into that next time. It's just another story from Chasing Poker. So thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.